Please be sure to donate to my Patreon to help support the channel. Link in the description down below. What's up everybody, Django, Fett here, hunting down games, comics, TV shows, movies, and more, and this is a review for Ex Machina. Before I get into that, let's discuss the elephant in the room, and it's the shirt, made in the 80s. I just found this online on Amazon, and I had to get this. As a huge 80s fan, this is freaking awesome. This is such a badass t-shirt. So if you're interested in getting one for yourself, I'll put a link in the description down below. It's on Amazon. I just found it randomly on Amazon. I would recommend getting one for yourself. With that being said, let's discuss Ex Machina. I actually ended up getting this for $5, which is a steal. It's not $25. So it actually came out 3 years ago, and you're probably wondering, Django, why are you reviewing this when you should be reviewing new movies or doing something else? Well, that's because Alex Garland, who directed this film, they're making a new film, and it's actually coming out pretty soon. It's called Annihilation, and it has Natalie Portman and an assortment of cast, including Oscar Isaacs, who's actually in this movie as well. And he's, creating a new film. So I, as someone who's now an Alex Garland fanboy, I have to look out for every one of his films from this point on. So I wanted to start by discussing Ex Machina, which came out in 2015, and discuss that because I think many people are not going to be talking about this for years to come, but I think it's one of the dark horses of that year and that not many people were talking about. After winning a competition to spend a week on the mountain estate of the company's brilliant CEO Oscar Isaac, programmer Caleb Smith, Dummel Gleason, arrived to discover he has been chosen to take part in a study of artificial intelligence. Sworn to secrecy and cut off from the outside world, Caleb meets his subject, a beguiling and seductive cyborg named Ava, played by Alicia Vikander, and is plunged into an AI experiment beyond the wildest dreams in this epic thriller, charged with heart-stopping suspense. Now, Ex Machina, what makes it such a brilliant movie, in my opinion? It's pretty much everything. I loved everything about this movie. I think the writing is phenomenal. The screenplay, fantastic. The visuals, top-notch. And the acting is phenomenal. I think everything works in this film. There are some problems I had towards the end, which I will discuss later on. But I loved pretty much everything about this film. So, this film starts with a programmer or coder named Caleb Smith who wins the lottery. Pretty much wins this competition. And goes to visit his boss, his CEO, who's like a billionaire at this point, and lives in like somewhere in Norway. I think it's set actually in Norway. I watched it behind the scenes, so I think it's set in Norway in another location. But it's actually a beautifully set location, and it's actually just centered in a house with just 3 to 4 actors. It's like 3 main actors that are in this film, and it's just crazy to me. Just like a small little film like this, because the budget is only like $15 million to me. $15 million. That's the budget for this film. Not 200 million, 100 million like other crazy movies out there. 15 million. That right there blew my mind for how much they did in this film. Made the CGI, great CGI, and the location, the actors, everything that went into the film, $15 million, and that just fucking blew me away. First thing that really stood out to me is the cinematography. The way this movie was shot with these long shots, as well as the close-ins, and you see the reflections of the characters. The way they shot this film is stupendous. It's phenomenal. And, it's all set in this one remote location in this house. But the way they had all these props and the house, it made it look like a billionaire's estate, and it just really stood out to me. Another thing that stood out was the CGI. For the robot Ava, this is how you do freaking CGI. With a small budget, not fucking this horseshit over here. They spent practically all the fucking budget on the CGI. And it looks like horse shit. Okay? Fucking Alita Battle Angel. More like overrated Battle Angel. Okay? Fuck that shit. I'm telling you, that movie's gonna be a gigantic fucking failure. I'm calling it right now. It's so crazy to me how they do it better than fucking big, huge, $100 million movies out there. Another thing was the acting. The acting is phenomenal in this movie. Oscar Isaacs, who plays like this megalomaniac CEO who is just going downhill, who's this smart guy but wants to just be down to earth most of the time, wants to drink all the time. And I got a lot of respect for Oscar Isaacs after this movie in particular. Didn't really like any of his movies before then. I didn't like X-Men Apocalypse and movies like that, but I knew this guy was a great actor after seeing this movie, and I think he's just given like shit roles. He could be doing so much more, but he's actually going to be a part of Annihilation as well, which I'm looking forward to, be it a small role. I really have a lot of respect for Oscar Isaacs right now. And then we have the main star, Alicia Vikander. God damn. Okay, for the longest time, before I even watched this movie, I thought Emilia Clarke was in this movie. Like, I thought, like, after seeing set images and stuff like that, I thought it was Emilia Clarke. But then I watched this movie, I was like, oh, this is somebody else. It looks just like Emilia Clarke, but it's somebody else. I have a crush on Alicia Vikander ever since, okay? I've been looking out for her and stalking her films like crazy. Looking out for her films and love what she does. Not only is she freaking beautiful as hell, but she can act her heart out. She can act, okay? And that's why I'm really looking forward to Tomb Raider. I think she's going to be the brightest spot when it comes to Tomb Raider. It could be not so good movie, but it's still something I'm looking forward to and seeing Alicia Vikander in. But I love her acting, and I love her as an actor in particular. And she just, in this movie in particular, she was acting as an artificial intelligence, or like a robot. And she does the mannerisms of a robot very well. And what's crazy to me is like she's like around my age too. She's only like 29, and she's doing all of this, man. She has actually an ex-ballerina, and she acts, and I just, oh man, fucking love Alicia Vikander. Then we have Domhnall Gleeson. I will say is the weakest part of this movie. He's a good actor, but he's not given the best of roles. Yeah. And this movie in particular, he's like playing this coder programmer thing. He's really nervous at first, and to the CEO and stuff, which is understandable. But he plays off like this nerdy, well, not so much nerdy, this geeky guy, and he just doesn't know how to approach things. But when it comes to talking to the AI, he's like a freaking expert most of the time. I mean, like, I don't get how he can ask all these questions and know what to expect. He does struggle like towards the end. But it's just like, how does he know how to ask these questions and know how to approach to talking to the AI? I don't understand. Like, it's mainly him questioning Ava, asking these questions, and them having these sessions and really bond with one another. I thought that was a big plot hole, in my opinion. Like, this guy who has no experience doing all of this, he's just on the computer most of the time and knows how to ask these questions. Like, I just didn't really get that, in my opinion. I feel like the last 15-20 minutes, the movie kind of falls apart. There's some ridiculous stuff that doesn't make sense in this movie. With Domhnall Gleeson and some other aspects of him questioning his humanity. Like, I didn't really understand that. That was just one scene in particular, and towards the end, I just didn't really understand. Yeah, that's mainly it. I didn't really have any issues with the film. I thought it was just a wonderfully shot and excellent film from beginning to end. So I'm giving Ex Machina a... I would recommend buying this on Blu-ray and watching all the CGI in this, really examining the film from here, watching the behind the scenes. It just really gives you a lot of appreciation for the film and love for the film overall. It's one of the most underrated films I've ever seen, and it's just like so overlooked in that year in 2015. There was a lot of, I would say, probably great movies. I don't even remember 2015, but this movie I remember vividly and still do to this day. This is like the third time I've watched this movie, and I still love it. What's crazy to me is Alex Garland in particular. The guy actually directs and writes his films. So he's actually been involved with Dredd, 28 Days Later, 28 Weeks Later. Dredd he didn't direct, but this movie he directed and screenwrote. He was actually involved in a video game called Enslaved with Andy Serkis. The guy makes some great stuff. Enslaved is not the greatest thing, but it's a good video game. But this guy knows how to make films. Knows how to make wonderfully crafted films and direct them as well as write them. He's actually a former novelist himself, so he knows how to write films, knows how to write. And the fact that you don't get nowadays, like, producers and directors especially, who can't really write, who just produce and direct but don't really get involved with the writing process. They let others do it for them. And it really shows the lack of quality with that compared to like directors like Alex Garland, who direct and write their films. And it really just shows how they put all of their heart and soul into it. This guy, I think everybody should be watching out for him. I think he's the new upcoming director out there. He's gonna make some great films for a long time coming. I don't think he should be given like these big $100 million budgets. He could do some great things, but I think those types of directors are overrated at this point compared to the indie guys, the guys who may have the small budget and know what to create. Alex Garland, who's given a $50 million budget, made an excellent, incredible movie with Ex Machina. So I recommend watch that. So I'm definitely looking forward to Annihilation, which has a small budget of $55 million. It's still going to be tough to do that, considering there's Black Panther the week before. It's going to be really tough, but I'm still going to be watching that the week of it comes out, because I'm an Alex Garland fanboy at this point. And I love his films, so I'm really looking forward to that. Really looking forward to Annihilation, Black Panther, all those other movies. February is gonna be crazy, man. It's gonna be nuts. Just a heads up, you probably already know at this point, YouTube has already screwed small creators, including myself, and basically I can't monetize or make any revenue from this, despite all of my hard work put into YouTube. So at this point, I'd really recommend everybody donate to my Patreon so I can continue doing this, have motivation to do this for all my hard work that I put into this. I don't really get that much on YouTube anyway, like $5 a month. But if you could put a little bit of money towards my Patreon, donate towards there. I'll put a link in the description down below. I put a lot of time and heart and soul into these YouTube videos, and it would really make a world of difference to me if you could donate. It would mean the world to me. Really appreciate your guys' support at the end of the day. I really do appreciate it. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, Django Fett, and I'll see you, my fellow Mandalorian brothers and sisters, next time. Ooh, yeah!